Hi everybody, this is Jessica. I am trying to make maybe a little bit different of a video tonight. Some of you don't know, but I have a bit of a witchy side. Now, I'm not like a Halloween witch or anything like that. I like to say I'm too Christian for the coven and I'm too much of a witch for the church. So I don't really fit in either place. But I have had some very interesting and spooky experiences in my life. So I figured this would be like kind of like a fun video where we don't get so serious about like trans issues or I mean I try not to be too serious anyways. I literally made a video of me just eating, but I was copying a famous trans woman. So like I didn't just make that up. I liked it too. I want to make more of those. But um but this is going to be a little bit more spooky, a little bit more fun, and I wanted to talk about like spirituality and like supernatural things, right? So I do consider myself very witchy. I have a eclectic sort of with belief system. I don't believe that anybody's beliefs are wrong. I would never tell anybody that, and I don't argue about anybody's beliefs. But myself, I tend to be more on the like ancient pagan sort of, you know, I'm really into Santa Morte, right? The Dark Lady. I have she's in my corner right there. If you can see her picture next to the candle, that's my Santa Morte. I do venerations. I also believe in like the other world. It's kind of like heaven, but so the other world changes for every person. If a person dies and they lived a life where they had integrity and kindness, then they would go to like a heaven. If they lived an evil life and it was full of fear and anger, then they would create like a hell. Um, if somebody is very open-minded and they practice mindfulness and they live like a shamanistic life or they're open to just exploring like seeking um, uh, different sort of spiritual paths and they're very aware of things, then in the other world you can be conscious and then you would be able to mold the other world into whatever you want it to be. You also could choose to come back and kind of like reincarnation. So that's sort of what I believe. Um, and it also fits very nicely with other people's belief systems. Like if you believe in heaven, I think you're going there. If you believe in hell and you think you deserve to go there, you're probably going there. If you don't believe in anything at all, you're probably just going to the void, right? And so I don't judge people, and I definitely don't tell people what they should believe. Anyways, let's talk about supernatural experiences. Um, One of the first ones I can remember when I was a little kid, I was a little boy, right? Um, I would sleep and I would be scared and I would go sleep with my grandmother. My grandmother, her name was Hazel. I chose one of my names is based on my grandmother's name, Hazel. And I would have this sense that something was watching me when I was sleeping, and I'd get real scared and go sleep with my grandmother. And this thing kept waking me up, and I would see it walk through the hallway. Sometimes I would wake up and there would be a very masculine figure standing like above me. And it was malicious. I wouldn't say it was evil. I definitely think it was human. It was a human spirit, right? We'll talk a little bit more about the different kinds of spirits. I should have brought that up. Anyways, my grandmother told me that you should never be scared of these things, right? That we have dominion over them, and we can cast them out, right? So when I was a little kid, I got scared one night and I ran out into the backyard and we had a really big, my grandmother had many gardens and I ran out into the backyard and it was dark and windy and I said, I'm not scared of you. Something like that, like, I'm not scared of you. You need to go away, right? And I just kept yelling, I'm not scared of you. You need to go away. I'm not scared of you. Right. And I was like 8 or something. And that was the last I ever heard of that. Like it never came around after that. And then I realized that these things, when I encounter them, they're not going to scare me. And also, if you're in tune or you're aware of such things, then you're like a threat to them. And a lot of times, the more powerful ones, maybe the ones that are not human, right? There's two kinds of spirits, at least. I don't know, it might be more, but there's definitely two kinds. Where one is something that used to be human. They're normally maybe malicious or they're stuck in their own, what it's like a dream. They're stuck in a dream, right? They might be aware on some level or they're not aware, right? I see them a lot. They're everywhere, right? But they're not violent or anything. And then there's the ones that are non-human. These are terrifying. They are violent. They, in many cases, they hate us, right? And if you're sensitive or whatever, they will attack you, right? And I'll tell you some stories of those things, right? Um, but anyways, so that was one of my first experiences, and there's been many, but there's a few that really stand out, right? One of the creepiest ones was about 20 years ago. I was staying with my mother. My mother didn't raise me, but she did take care of me financially, and I was staying with her after her husband died, right? And I do a lot of running, a lot of jogging. You can't tell because I've been gaining some weight. I go on these things where I'll work out, I'll run a lot. I mean, a crazy amount, and then all of a sudden I'll stop working out and I'll just eat everything I want for about 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm on one of those benches right now. You can kind of see my double chin, you know. Um, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the spirit. So I was running on the beach one night, and it was the moon was so big, and you could see the reflection of the moon in the ocean. I love running on the beach, and it was a long run, and I was real far away from. I mean, there's not a lot of people out at nighttime, anyways, in Florida, but there was some people, but I was so far away from the city, no buildings around or anything like that. And I seen this figure standing in the water, probably about 50 feet off the shore. I thought, maybe there's a sandbar or something. And as I get closer, right, I'm running. And then I'm like, oh, this could be like a drunk or a maniac or like something. So I get close and I said, hey, hey. And then when I did that, the figure didn't have a face, but it turned and I could sense that it was looking at me and it was a shadow. It was in the silhouette of human, but it was a shadow. And all I felt was this intense rage and hatred towards me, like it just wanted to destroy me, right? And I said, "Oh my God!" And I just ran away. And I remember that I actually didn't run home on the beach. I went to the sidewalk. There was a sidewalk because there's a road that runs along. It's called A1A, you know. Anyways, so I went home and I said to my mother, I said, "Mom, I saw a shadow person," and she was like, "I see them all the time." And I was like, what are you talking about? And so my mother told me that she sees shadow people all the time. And I was like, oh my God, it's so scary. So I looked it up online, and there's a whole like species of demon or other thing that is called a shadow person. So that was one of the more memorable times. Um, there was another time where I was hanging out with some friends and he bought a pizzeria. He was a good friend, him and his wife. Um, anyway, so we were hanging out and I said, hey, can I go use the bathroom? So I went into the back of the building and there was this hallway and it's that same feeling. It's intense hatred. It's like there's something there that it hates you, right? And I do think that these demons or whatever they are, they hate humans for some reason. It's distinctly different than when you experience a ghost, something that used to be human, right? Like sometimes I think that they're not even real. Maybe they're like echoes of kind of like when something gets burnt and you can smell it for a few days, like somebody dies or something, they just leave like a, I don't know, like some kind of just energy that hasn't dissipated yet or something, right? Um, but anyways, so pizzeria. So I'm in the pizzeria and I just like I turn white and I turn around. I didn't even go to the bathroom and I walk back into the where my friends were and his wife goes, "What happened? Did you see it?" And I was like, "See what? What are you talking about? Like what's back there?" And then we all sat there and like we were hanging out and stuff and we just talked about it and they were experiencing trauma from this terrible thing that lived in this old brick pizzeria place. Um, that one it was a wasn't like a very it was a quick thing, but it left an impression because it was very powerful and very hateful, right? Another time, I'm a contractor, and I was working downtown, and I live in a very old city that was colonial Spain city, right on the coast of Florida, like Pirates of the Caribbean type stuff, right? And I was digging and I was in front of the courthouse and all of a sudden I dropped my shovel and I started walking through this neighborhood and I started chanting, ah, you're a loser, you're gonna die, you're a loser, you're gonna die, you're a loser, you're gonna die. And I was just chanting all this stuff, right? This like self-hatred stuff, right? And I walked for maybe like 20 minutes. I was totally in a trance, right? And when I came to, I was standing in front of this house called the Bennett House, right? And this house was trying to pull me inside, like it was trying to suck me inside. It was this old, like 200-year-old house, right? And I looked it up online, and there's a whole history of hauntings and things happening there. And I was like, are you kidding me? So then that's when I realized that these things maybe other people don't experience them. First of all, I don't think there's any requirement for being a witch or a psychic or anything like that. I think it's just people who are open-minded and who believe and they're willing willing to experience these things, right? And if you practice it, it's like practicing anything like math or working out or anything like that. If you practice these things and study them your whole life, then you just get better at it, right? Um, anyways, so that was the Bennett house, right? Um, what's another one? Okay, so I was visiting my family in West Virginia, and so there's a story in my family, and this is on my dad's side. It's not even on my grandma's side. It's on my dad's side, where my my grandfather's brother was a pastor and his dad 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 came to the mountain. That's where our family came from. And he met a woman, right? And she was not a Christian, right? But she told her husband, because they got married, that they would have all these children and they would be a long line of pastors, right? So she prophesized and she was known to be like someone who could prophesize and like a medicine woman. Some people say she was a Native American, and some people say she was some sort of pagan, right? Some kind of European. I don't know. And it might not even be true, but I love the story. So there's these people in my family that are very Christian, and there's lots of people in my family who are kind of Christian but are like more of the witchy side. And it's known that people in my family have these like intuitions and gifts and stuff. I love it so much. I don't even care if people say it's not true. I said, I don't even care if it's true. Like, I choose to believe it's true because I think it is very exciting and very fun, right? And I want my life to be fun. That's why I like Halloween so much. Oh God, I can't do nothing with my hair. Okay, so I was in West Virginia. And I was in a church. We went to this old church, and I mean, when I mean old, like this church is old, like I fallen apart, hundreds of years old. Like so, where my family comes from, there's like these ruins, and they say it's Abraham Lincoln's mom's house. Like I don't know if that's true or not, but anyways, it is old, right? Like you'll be walking in the woods, and you'll just find the remains of a house. Right? It's so crazy. It's beautiful too. There's like little rivers and streams in West Virginia. So many animals. Like if you walk in the woods, you have to bring a gun. Like my aunt's like giving me a gun, and she's like, I'm like, why do you need a gun? And she's like, because of the bears. And I was like, listen, I don't want to shoot a gun. I don't know how to shoot a gun. Like, I'm just not gonna take the gun, okay? And she's like, okay, but the bears might get you. And I was like, fuck, right? I want to go out in the woods. Um, anyway, so we're in the church, and I'm sitting there, and I see this smoke start pouring in through the windows. And I look around, and then all of a sudden it goes boop, and it disappears. And then my cousin, because I have like 48 cousins, right? She goes, what did you see? And I said, I saw smoke. And I said, did you see it too? And she goes, no, but I smelled it. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I have some kind of weird thing going on with my cousin where we both experienced something supernatural at the same time. So I really liked it. It was really cool. One last thing. So I have two sons, and my little son, he says that he sees things, right? And I try not to freak him out, but I had to tell him a little bit about my family history because I wish somebody would have really got into it with me. I mean, my grandma did a little bit, but not that much, right? So, but I'll test him. We'll be driving by a house, right? There's this house I always drive by, and I know something evil is in there. And when you walk by it, like you get this sense of dread. Like you look at it, there's a red door, just like a movie, right? Just like a movie. There's red. Of course, there's a red door. So it's like if you're possessed by a house, like the house is like, paint your door red. Anyways, so there's a red door, and I look at my son and I say, hey, when you look at that house right there, how do you feel? And he looks at me and he goes, there's something bad in there. And it was like, okay, yeah, he's got it. He gets it too, right? So, so this is my ghost story video, right? If I think of any more, then I would definitely share them. If you have experiences, then please share them. Also, if you're watching the video, I'm trying to be a YouTuber. I'm hoping it works. Like, I mean, I would love to just make content and hang out with my family and maybe if my dream could come true, I would go to like historical sites and castles and haunted houses or even fairs, like just all over the place, restaurants, and I would just show you guys like all that stuff, and I'd be like, look at how cool this place is, and I would talk about it, right? And then I would also go shopping all the time. Like shopping would be part of my dream. I love shopping. I actually have to stay away from stores right now because I don't want to spend like deposits because I have a business. So I don't really have, I have to finish some jobs before the money's actually mine. Right? Um, but anyways, I have a Book of Shadows. It's mine. I'm not part of any kind of Wiccan or organized paganism, but I do have intuitions and I listen to God or the goddess and whatever you want, whatever my higher power is. It kind of changes sometimes, right? And I get really in tune and I write things down in this book and I call it my Book of Shadows. It's got an emblem of as above, so below, because I believe that that means like what's inside can come out. Like the things that we think about come true, whether they're good or bad. So it's really important to control our thoughts. Also, I think that we should not think too negative about some people because we might accidentally curse them or cast a spell. and we don't want that negative stuff coming back on us, right? No, we don't want that. That's why it's always better to help people, right? Because if you help people, then you get the good karma. The good karma is nice. But I'm going to make another video one day and just go through my book of shadows of everybody and tell everybody all the things that I think I know, that I think that are messages from the universe or God or whatever, right? And I really like this kind of content, and it might it might energize me to try to stay focused and expand my knowledge on these issues, because I go through cycles or seasons where I'm really into like my metaphysics and my witchcraft and witchiness. Or I'll get really into exercise, or I'll get really into building my business. Now I'm really into YouTube, but I really like this one. The YouTube one is really special to me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go make dinner and hang out with my son. And I love you guys. So please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.